Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here. Today in this video, we're going to be testing an E0 blade versus an E6 Danheng. I want to know exactly how much is the difference between both of them. Of course, one thing to note is they are destruction characters here and Danheng is a hunt character. So it's slightly different in terms of their main function, but that's not what we are here for. What we want to know is the damage numbers between both of them and how they perform in an actual team fight composition. So what are the variables that I'm going to be using in this test? Of course, because Danheng is a 4-star, so he doesn't have like a 5-star limited light cone. So in this case, I'm actually going to be using Zila's signature light cone because this is probably one of the stronger hunt light cones now in the game, which is going to be fair, especially when comparing if I'm going to be giving Blade, for example, his own signature light cone here, the unreachable side. So I'm facing off a S1 versus an S1 here, and one thing to note about Zila's light cone is you need quite a lot of speed. So it caps off at 160 speed for the overall buff. As you can see here, I have 152 speed on Danheng. This is of course excludes his own speed buffing that he gets on his own as well. I think it's one of the major tracers here. Yep, and this will basically give us the max amount of charges. Tracers I have here at 69910, which basically is 5778 because of the Eidolons. He gets this additional +2, factoring in for the Eidolon 6. So Blade's exactly the same, 5778, just without the +2 because he's at E0. And as you can see here, out of all the tracers, I'm only missing these two here. This top 2, which gives a bit more damage from HP, more crit rate. Danheng is similarly, I'm missing the top 3, but this one is like defense, so I decided that I think it's still a fair comparison for the damage output that is being shown. What are the relics that I'm using? Because it's going to be important to know. I don't want to be too biased on one end or another, and as you can see here, what I'm using is just a simple 4-piece Eagle of Twilight line, just to give a bit more wind damage bonus to Danheng. Of course, Blade will be using the exact same set, except he will be changing off the link rope here. As you can see, I already prepared it, and let me just show you the stats of them real quick. A lot of speed because I want to capitalize on the speed that Danheng gets from the light cone. Without this huge amount of speed, I won't be able to hit that cap 2. So that's what I'm using here, and of course the difference is this attack link rope, as you can see here, has a very high amount of break effect. I will just probably hit an enemy that's not weak to wind, so we don't get factor in that wind shear bonus in as well. Blade on the other hand is using this Inert Salsoto link rope, which doesn't have any other additive stats or crit rate, crit damage and of that sort as well. So it's pretty much a fair comparison in terms of the variables that we are looking at. But now let's talk about team composition. The hardest thing is of course to decide a fair team to use for both of them. I think the most simplest character that I can put in for both of these characters will be Bronya. She's probably the best in slot harmony for Blade, and also Danheng because she's going to be using a S5 Planetary Rendezvous, which will give me a team-wide wind damage bonus as well. In this case, I think the third slot I'll put Luota, which just a simple healer for most characters in the game. Blade works pretty well with Luota. Danheng also doesn't mind the additional sustain that offers. And probably in the last slot, I'm going to be putting a character like Fire MC, just to showcase like the difference in terms of potential too. So what is our test subject? What exactly will we be hitting? And the first test subject that we have is going to be Memory Stage 15 of the Memory of Chaos as well. We're going to test it out because this is a very neutral buff, unlike the Memory of Chaos, which has changing buff. But we might do that towards the end of the video as well, but we have to do like some kind of workaround to that. So this is going to be a better comparison. The enemies here don't really have wind weakness also, so we don't factor in that break effect as we saw. And let's go ahead and first test for Danheng. I just want to see like the damage numbers, how fast it takes to clear this round as well. And I think we'll be able to get some bigger picture. $33k for Danheng. So what's more important is we want to see like the absolute damage number as well as the turn that it takes to end the game as well. Because the time taken will not be exactly representative, you want to see the number of turns it takes. Okay, quite a strong showing. 29 cycles left as well. Now let's go ahead and switch it up to Blade. Okay, so on an easy difficulty, Blade definitely does outperform. You can see that he only has like 30 cycles left and he managed to finish the floor. But more interestingly, of course, some of you might be saying, let's check it out at a higher difficulty, and that is what we're going to do. But one of the most important things to note, of course, is this current buff as of time of recording this video slightly favors Danheng because Blade doesn't scale as well with attack, and if they have a HP percentage above 80%, Danheng is slightly favored as well. Now let's go ahead and check out Blade and see how long it takes to finish like the first half in the memory stage 10, and we can see some numbers too. 35 cycles left for Blade. Now let's check out Danheng. Okay, 32 cycles compared to Blade's 35. Now let's go back to the menu and talk about this thing. So what are my thoughts after seeing the numbers? It's clear here in both situations, in the easier memory 15 as well as the harder memory of Chaos 10, which the buff slightly favors Danheng a little bit more. We can see Blade ages out in both aspects, and definitely what sets him apart against the character we have in the game right now, Danheng, who is the only other like pure win DPS we have in the game, is definitely his AoE potential and also his relatively useful amounts of skill point usage. He's he uses very little skill points, so as you can see, the team was dishing out a lot more buffs. Bronya was able to like push, for example, Blade up a lot more in Dell's set as well, and also he's quite independent. He has a bit of lifesteal in his kit to deal not only AoE damage but also keep him alive a little longer. Granted, of course, we do have Luota. If we take Luota out and put maybe like Natasha or Bailu, the situation might differ a little bit, but as we can see, since it's more of like a damage test, really how the team functions was just more of like a side bonus that we can see too. Both of them are respectable damage dealers. We can see Danheng clearing it only 3 turns slower than Blade, and in the first set only just 1 turn slower as well in the easier memory 15. What that tells me is that in the hardest content, Memory of Chaos 10 currently in the game, if you are able to clear it within 10 rounds, which is the average required because you need to a total of 20 rounds for 2 sets, so 10 rounds each half, and some people consider the first half right now the hardest set compared to the second half. By clearing it within like 8 rounds, I think it's a very respectable timing for a 4-star DPS, especially. But one thing to note, of course, is I am using quite whale gear, having him at E6 as well as a Zealer signature light cone, so that is something to consider as well. It's not super relatable, but 60k damage on his ult does seem quite impressive, and about 30 plus k excluding like the full buffs from Bronya. That is still pretty good. But overall, definitely we see Blade's utility in being also versatile in the sense single target strong, but also good amounts of splash, and definitely came in handy in the Memory of Chaos 10 that we saw here. So what do you think of the comparison? I know it's definitely not perfect. No comparison is going to be perfect. There are bound to be like some good points, bad points, but share with me your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know if you want to see more of such videos too. Leave a comment, subscribe for more of such future content, and thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.